then I said to him, I'm thinking of going there, and he said he wants to come with me, so I might plan a little 3-day trip away with my dad to Denmark to see where my ancestors come from. But yeah, it was really nice talking to him about it.
That's wonderful, Ian.
Which part of Denmark, Ian?
Oh, I can't remember. It begins with H.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did
Helsingør,
sell home. I did sell home.
Helsingør is it?
Heisenberg. Heisenberg.
How you spell it?
I'm looking now.
Helsingør.
Doesn't sound like that, Heinz.
Ja, men jeg har skrevet med ham. Helsingør.
Oh, Helsingør. Oh, it's where Shakespeare he wrote about the.
Helsingor. Heislinger. Heislinger.
Helsinki. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Helsinger. Helsinger.
Mhm.
Helsinger.
Just outside of Copenhagen. Yeah.
Is that close to you, Chai? Helsinger. Helsinger.
Yeah.
She, sorry, she.
Heinz and I, yeah, we on the opposite side of Denmark.
Oh.
With this about 4 or 5 hours drive from where we located.
That's everything that's opposite of where we are living. It's 4 or 5 hours. It's not very big country.
Mm-hmm. So is it from your father's side or mother's side, Ian?
Pardon?
The family on your father's side?
Yeah, father's side. My surname's from Denmark. Rents. It's Danish. My father's side.
Awesome.
Good morning, Nikki.
Ian, do you know of a movie called Babette's Feast?
No.
Look it up. See if you can
Well,
find it.
yeah.
Can you write that in the chat box if that's okay?
Oh, well,
I'll take a screenshot. Thank you.
It's from the 80s or 90s, right?
yes.
Very good. Good one.
And a friend of mine's family lived on the island. She grew up there.
Good morning, Nikki.
Morning, Nikki. Love you.
Hmm. I'm just
Thanks,
connecting.
Alison.
Sorry, Ian?
I just said thanks, Alison, for putting the name in the chat box.
You're welcome.
Collaborating endless possibilities.
Mhm.
From connecting with your dad to travel. It's like, the collaborating endless possibilities of that. Of that actions. Those cause and effects.
I was just thinking about cause and effect when you said it.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah, see, the tension is in the cause and effects. We cause it and then we expect an effect. Such as a good morning, Nikki. Anticipating a response.
Mm.
I was just waiting to see what would happen. No judgment in it, you know. Just again, the tension. Shoot, Allison slipped right into something else. You're great. I mentioned it, you know, and then we slipped into something else.
So that synchronicity that happened now between Hans and Jessie. I was on the phone yesterday with a girlfriend of mine, and she had a family of blue jay birds on her balcony. And then they're not very common. I mean, they're here, and everybody knows what it looks like because one of the sports teams is named after them, but they're also one of the national birds, I think. And as she said to me, because she was excited about them, they come pretty regularly now because she feeds them. And within 2 minutes, I was standing on the top of quite a high cliff. It's got a river down the bottom. I had one fly almost right in front of me, all the way down into the river, and I could watch it. It was so beautiful. But that was pretty unusual. So synchronicity seems to do something for us. It's almost like it's an evidence of the connection. I always feel that sense of what I've heard in Hans's voice was wow.
And so tension can take different forms from different effects. One of them is just to, was it Chi or Heinz that was thinking cause and effect?
think it was Hans.
It was me, Chi.
Was it
Yeah.
Chi? Sorry, Chi.
Yes, you can change the effect by changing the cause.
Mhm. Mhm. Changing the intention, changing the expectation.
Mhm. This is so cool.
And when you think of the cause before you do it, right, intentionally. Now, it can't be all the time. But just another example of tension for me was, I thought it was chi. Doesn't matter who said it, collaboration. Just to acknowledge my tension. And I can ask, why does it matter?
The only thing that matters was it.
What was said? Sorry, I missed that part.
There was a Jesse said cause and effect. And then Chi mentioned that as Jesse had said it, he had it in his mind already. So that's why I spoke about the synchronicity with the blue jay, with the
Mm.
bird.
And the tension showed up for me when Allison acknowledged that it was Heinz.
That
Oh,
I
I
thought-
didn't know. Thank you.
And I was like,
Thank
well,
you.
I thought she said that. Ah,
and you were
wow.
right.
Well, look, now maybe the tension is at me wanting to be right. See, they're fun examples, they're light examples here. But out to there, they can be sharp.
Mm.
They can hurt, they can sting, they can bite.
Well, the thing is, that becoming conscious before, we wouldn't have noticed that. It would have just been,
Mhm.
we notice it straight away. And I was like, oh, right, okay.
It shows for me the capacity to observe. And so the identification with what's being said is less grasping.
Mm.
It's more malleable.
Mm.
So that makes it more space for alignment, right?
And endless possibilities and collaboration.
Mm.
And I'd say less grasping and less holding so tightly.
Mm.
Now, to identify why holding so tightly or wrapped up in it so much. Why am I so wrapped up in it? That's the awareness.
Mm. I read a little thing yesterday, which was a nice way of putting the difference between working things alone and collaborating. And if you want something done fast, it's better to do it alone. But if you want something that will last, it's better to collaborate.
But in collaboration, it depends if the other people are willing to put on the work. Like when I was in uni and we had to do group work and collaborate, people wouldn't do the work and then I would end up doing it because if I didn't, it would affect my grade. So the people have to be willing to collaborate as well.
Absolutely. And
Why don't we?
unawares of the benefits of it that they could get, right? Don't care.
Taking.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Craig.
Morning, Craig.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Craig.
So collaborating in this opportunities. Thank you, Allison and Ian. Yes. And so feeling withdrawn, unwilling to collaborate, unwilling to engage, unwilling to open up, unwilling to give.
It's interesting how that gets reflected in the recode, right? With all parts willing to be part of the team, to update.
Said another way, the aspects that want to engage are trapped, hidden, hiding, contained by the old patterns that say no, not to collaborate. It's safer to not collaborate.
Mm-hmm. And then I think of how many people Gary Flint helped and how unwilling his community was, his colleagues were, to facilitate this work into the mainstream. And the same with my supervisor. They certainly didn't work in a creative structure and still don't. For the most part.
Mm. Cause and effect. Yeah.
Yeah. I got to throw something else in here. There's an assumption when people don't act that they're not willing to act, that it's about unwillingness. And my experience over the last 3 years has taught me that for me, the issue was not unwillingness, it was an inability.
Yeah, I didn't think that there was an assumption that everybody in every part was unwilling, Craig. But thank you for your
Yeah,
contribution.
but that tends to happen all over the place. So the thing is, when I was in a state where I could not respond, when I was non-responsive, it was assumed that I was unwilling and that I could be forced to be willing. And very, very counterproductive. In fact, it's actually the other way around. So I just wanted to make sure that we're not making that blanket assumption.
So in that inability, Craig, were you saying no?
No, wasn't able to respond at all. Non-responsive paralysis. But it was always assumed to be a response. And it wasn't, it never was a response.
Interesting. I would call it a no.
No response.
That's just me. Mm. And the way I was framing it was from the, and it can be looked the same way, right? A group of, Ian's in a collaborating group to do a project, yeah, and you're in a life situation, right, to respond to something.
Yeah,
And everyone has choices.
I'm not so
Mm.
sure that you have a choice if your body is completely paralyzed, Jesse.
yeah, that's my point.
Mm, mm, mm.
Or if you do have a choice, it's not apparent.
Then we'd have to say that there's not always a choice.
No, that
Mm,
doesn't
we
preclude
would.
that. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's
You would.
like I said, there could be a choice, but it's not apparent.
But that's completely different. That's an awareness.
There are also different levels at which you can make a choice, though, especially
Mhm.
when we're talking about a situation like this. So Craig couldn't respond, but in his mind, he's still making a choice for himself about where he was, what was happening.
Mhm.
But nobody
And
else
look-
could see that level of choice, right?
That's right. Yes. And then the other part of it is when that isn't seen, heard, there isn't the respect, yeah, in it, there's the assumption that causes the effects.
Yes.
Correct.
So the unwillingness is from whoever's observing it.
Correct. As well as the lack of awareness.
In both ways,
Mm-hmm.
both from all collaborating parties.
Mm-hmm.
Collaborating and uncollaborating.
With the assumption that the lack of response was under the patient's realm of possibilities.
Yeah. Because I was totally willing to respond, but I could not.
Mm. Well, you weren't exactly in a creative structure, right? Not
True.
you.
True.
You know, not you yourself, but your context, the context in which you were in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? We're just observing the past. We're not judging it.
Mm.
The possibility existed because I was still willing.
And usually when we get towards the end, it makes a lot more sense of what we chose to do. whether aware or not of the choice.
Mm.
And you can't change it from that moment. No, you can, but you can change it from the moment forward.
Mm.
Which means only when that moment of awareness exists can you change it. Or not. That's why looking backwards, not looking backwards, but fretting, worrying, wanting to change past experience, like past choices, is useless.
Mm.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. I mean, come on. It was perfect in the moment. That's what we have to settle with. And that creates tension.
You could go for perfectly imperfect. I think that is life in the 3D, perfectly imperfect.
All I remember is that I began to doubt myself
Mm.
and doubt
Yep.
my ability to choose.
Yep. Great awareness.
Well, and doubt an ability to change my experience. That's why it's so miraculous to me that MagMind showed up when it did. The whole thing about making conscious choices. You know, that was a light of hope that showed up at a really specific time.
At a hopeless time, huh?
Yeah, yeah. So I had zero understanding of any of what was going on, really.
Mhm. No awareness that there was other possibilities.
Yeah, yeah. And no awareness of what the obstacle actually was.
Mhm. And the more pressure that comes in on this 3D around us, the tighter it has us gripped, the less
Exactly.
possibilities we see.
Exactly. So the assumption that I'd had throughout my life to whenever an obstacle shows up, to just plow through it, that wasn't an option anymore.
Yep.
You know, I just couldn't force my way through it.
Yep.
You know, I couldn't self-regulate either.
Yes. And the tension became the tendency to do what you've always done.
Right. Yep. And all that did is increase the pain.
Yeah. I think the longer and more we put in it, we're all face that breakdown at some point.
Yeah, when that breakdown came on me, I chose to fight it because
That
that's
was
what
your
I'd
pattern.
done. That's what I'd
That's
done.
right.
Yeah.
It's the importance of fight, flight, and freeze, because those are all our automatic patterns. And when
Yep.
we become aware of them, then we work to build the other ones equally. And you do that by choice. Or you bypass it, right, with choice.
Yeah.
What is the source of all powers? The source of all powers is the world within, the universal fountain of supply, the infinite energy of which each individual is an outlet.
Mm. That's a lovely way of putting it.
Mhm. We all have it inside.
You just until you how do I say it? It's like, yes, the outlet can be there, but if you never use it,
Mhm.
that's the sad part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all right there at your grasp to use, to choose. Really, like it all
Mhm.
comes down to that outlet is just the choice.
You need you also need the awareness that it's there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thing is, fight and flight are obvious actions. Freeze is an action that really isn't. It really isn't obvious.
Hmm.
It appears.
Observer
It
can.
appears to be like passivity or inaction.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's very real action, but it's not. You know, when you're not moving, it doesn't look like you're acting. Is what I'm saying.
I hold freeze differently. To me, freeze is what it shows up with me is like in a fight or flight and freeze. Freeze to me means people can't even, like, they won't even go into the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's part of it.
exactly what freeze is.
But it
But
goes
it's
blank.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's got to do with how much flexibility there is in the nervous system.
Mhm.
There's another
Mhm.
automatic, which is to appease.
Yeah.
That you can see that.
Yeah. It's amazing all the different ways it shows up, but the way out is the choice, awareness.
Yeah.
Of being a choice.
And of where your power is.
Yeah, which is all in, well, what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
And then you think of it like if that's the dominating your want, desire, choose, all of those like wrapped together. And we have resistance because of the fight, flight, freeze of why we couldn't get what we wanted. It's conditioned in,
Yeah.
pattern stamped. Doing life the same way every time.
So what was true for me was a matter of actually living through it. And what got me through it was the whole thing about, well, the introduction of the 4 core choices to start with, and then finding my own core true choice, the one that resonated with me personally. You know, I guess you could say that was about like choosing a new structure. And yeah. And the word new is really key to what I just said. Like it was something new and something I hadn't considered in the middle of that distress. I couldn't see anything new or different until it was introduced to me.
Collaboration.
Yeah.
And as so often happens with collaboration, you get new information.
Yeah. Yeah, collaboration is all about new stuff.
That's
Which
the other
isn't really
thing.
surprising for me because that's that newness is a real life theme for me.
Yeah. Could be for everyone.
Yeah. Well, and now that you've mentioned everyone too, what I'm beginning to see is that there's a lot of people on the planet that are stuck in some kind of paralysis and have no idea what it is or anything, because it's generally that paralysis side of things hasn't been addressed generally.
You know, and the
Sorry, Jessica.
I was going to say, for a pusher, a doer, a getter doner, the last thing to do is to freeze.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Until they do.
That's right.
That was
and so
me.
Then so someone that their automatic pattern, their patterns, their tendencies, their we'll call it their strengths prior, right? If that was just to freeze, then what might they have to do to push through it? To like when they enter their situation, what might they have to do?
Yeah.
The word surrender comes to mind.
Yeah, exactly.
well, they'll surrender, and more than likely they'll have to push. They'll have to go for it. They'll have to do it. That's how they get through it. And they're all lessons, right? We're just learning the other
Yeah.
side of what we're conditioned to do. That's the only way we have choices.
Yeah. For me, it was a matter of staying a step ahead of the pressure.
Mhm, mhm.
Because when the pressure finally caught up to me, that's when the paralysis showed up.
Interesting.
Yeah, I managed to
freeze
avoid
is
it for
required for
48
both of them.
years
No.
until I couldn't.
And how I reference that is that you were fighting the pressure just to stay ahead of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
your tendency was fight. And most doers, I mean, you look at it different ways, but the doers are, they're fighting for it.
Yeah, I remember you in one of our early sessions asking me that question. Craig, what are you fighting? Are you fighting? Why are you fighting? I even kept fighting when I couldn't.
Tendency, right? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
a major pattern in our life. We can't just snap our fingers, do a recode, and be done with it.
That's true.
We can loosen the bolts.
Yeah.
We can loosen the grasp. We can remove a few layers, but man, the structure is what's loosening.
The recognition of the structure, hey, Jess?
Yeah, all recognition. Yeah, speaking to it like it's a thing.
I'll speak to this thing about the recognition of structure. So I was working with a coach colleague of mine who'd been a coach for 25 years. And she's very adept. And she said to me, why she landed up in a place where she was 20 years ago, and that this had happened 4 times. And my immediate answer was, well, you're in a problem-solving structure. And she said, what does that mean? I said, well, think about the opposite. What would the opposite be of a problem-solving structure? And she immediately said a creative structure. And as she said it, she looked at me, she said, oh my God. She got it immediately. And that was 6 months, not even 6 months ago. And so she stopped doing what she was doing to resolve this issue. And she's already had success within a space of, it's probably 4 months. I don't think it was as long as 6 months ago. With not doing anything about the issue. But the evidence of the issue starting to resolve is there.
Just by letting it go.
And allowing, hey, Jess.
Allowing yourself to let it go. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And allowing yourself to focus on what else gives you joy.
Well, problem solving or creating, which one gives you joy?
That's pretty obvious.
Quite interesting that this all started for happy.
Yep.
319 or so days. I don't remember, somewhere in there, 20. But we could only do happy for about a week. And then we were complete. If I was to use a different word, I would use joy today.
Mm,
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
mm.
And that is a tough lesson. It still is, right? Even with the awareness of it.
Yeah.
Is that we still have pressures. It's just how we view those pressures. How much space we give those pressures. Are we allowing those pressures to, yeah, for me, it's like, oh, well, what lesson could be in this? What haven't I learned yet that I need to learn?
Mm.
Could learn. I mean, just you can feel the pressure in my words.
For me,
And
the question
trusting.
was, can I allow the pressure without engaging with it?
Well, I think, yeah, I'm with you. We are making up the pressure.
Yep.
Nobody else is creating the pressure.
In a way, pressure comes from abdicating our own power
Yes.
and our own alignment.
Yeah, 1 foot in the ditch.
Well, you only need 1 anchor on the foot and you'll still go to the bottom.
Exactly.
You know, the ball and chain, right? You only need to tie it to 1 leg.
Yeah. Well, and even if it's just a little bit off.
I think it's always a little bit off. I'll take a little bit off rather than always. How do I put that? Rather than always doing the same thing, I'd rather take little chunks of something new.
Any day.
Knowing with the intention that those new patterns are building. Otherwise, you will just stay in the same cycles. Presenting the past to the present moment. Four times in 20 years, Allison.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine how all of that has to be the same for that to be experienced.
Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, how much readiness there was. I mean, there was like it was instant. It was a complete
Yeah.
light bulb for her when I introduced it.
That is the power of opposite.
Mm-hmm.
That is the shortcut of opposite. It's the crack. Poof. Creates the awareness that there's something else that we never considered possible before.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always our whole thinking goes to all that we've done and what we will do, right? It's just that thinking mind just keeps running that same pattern until you give it something else to look at.
Mm.
I've seen the nest, but not that hole in it.
Never seen an owl in the nest either.
There's a nest. Peek in the dirt. And it's in the-
And so only when things aren't working out is the opposite question worth asking.
Sorry, Jesse, can you say that again, please?
Only when things aren't working out is the only way that the opposite, to look at the opposite works, right? There's a willingness in it.
Yes.
It could be used just as perfectly in the when it's going well. The point is, we can use opposite anytime, every time. It just opens, it expands those possibilities.
Mm.
6:05.
And when we're allowed to experience new things happen. Things that, oh, it seems like we'll never forget. Such as for me, October 1st, 2020, it's like it's 42. So it had been between, my number was the age of 6 and 42 that I had blocked out love. Just allow that, for not allowing that emotion to permeate in. And October 1st, 2020, it flooded back in. I could feel it. Like I hadn't since the age of 6. And then 2 years later, and some days, months, yeah, I could look at joy. October 1st, 2020 is the day my heart beated. My heart was alive again. It was soft again. All because of changing my problem-solving structure.
Hmm.
You know, choosing choices. Coming to in the end of how it could work for me. I couldn't keep that old pattern going. I had to surrender and say, I don't know. And allow something new.
When you say love started coming back in, was that self-love or all forms of love?
It was self-love all the way. It was self-love, yeah. And just the allowing of it, you know, just the feeling it again, allowing it in just as the emotion itself so that I could place it, right? I could place it through the old memories, the old reasons, the old choices. And then when it was there, then I could choose to, then eventually, like I realized it was the self-love aspect of it. But I had to feel it first. But yeah, it definitely was self-love, because I think it was like my pattern was I experienced, quote, love, or the word love, but the best way I can put it, if I could put words to it, was the feeling wasn't with it. The feeling wasn't attached to it. And before, if you said, and I don't think there was real self-love to it, because it was never good enough. And so that was similar to Craig's pattern, right? Mine was never good enough, proving not worthy. And so in those frames, right, they're void of self-compassion, self-love, self-forgiveness.
So my understanding of it is that you could say it's easy to say I love myself, I love you, I love this person, but you didn't feel it. But then when the self-love came back in, you got the feeling with the words.
Yes. Yeah. And not without that experience would I be able to say there was a difference.
Because that's what's been happening to me. I've been feeling it. So yeah, thank you.
Mm.
And I cried too. So it was like the first time I had a good cry in a real long time.
Self-compassion is so much a part of that, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And it
I
allowed
didn't
me
know
to
then what I know now.
Yep. Sorry, Ian, I stepped over you.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, we didn't know then what we know now, so have compassion for that old version of us. Because
Mhm.
she tried his best with the conditioning,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yes. We're all trapped in it. Not all of us, but big majority. Those that have gone through it, we know and can recognize with, right? They collaborate together in it, and those that aren't, we have compassion for them.
I just got to interrupt this with a nature moment. Where I'm at, the sun is just rising, and there's kind of wispy cloud cover throughout the whole sky, and all the clouds, even in the west, are pink right now. It's kind of amazing.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. The whole sky, pink and purple.
Let's look at this cactus right here. What's wrong with the nesting?
Relating back to Jesse's, what Jesse was saying, think for me, well, I feel for me, I've always felt compassion for others, but now I'm feeling a compassion for myself. It's like I'm seeing through different eyes, and I'm seeing compassion for. I've always felt compassion for others, but I'm seeing it in a different way, and I'm feeling it in a different way because I'm feeling it within myself. So it's like my eyesight's changed.
Yes.
It's changing.
Yeah.
Hard to explain. But yeah.
It's,
Just like the other day, I was walking and I saw oh, what's it called? Like a worm. And it's like, no, I don't want to stand on it. And I thought the worm moved out of the way, so nobody would stand on it because I had so much compassion for the worm.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, you know.
And gratitude, hey, Ian, for all that they do,
Mm.
especially earthworms.
We wouldn't nest that low, but I don't know. Yeah.
and I'll point out again that it's the
Like I
opposite,
said, I'm not a-
right? The giving everyone else the compassion. So what I hear with that is like it's flowing out, but it's not coming back in to replenish for you.
Yeah, because mine was my wounding was not being the worthy one, so I felt like I had to prove myself to get love and not being worthy. That was my main one.
That's right, right? Yeah. Right, and it had to, and it couldn't, you couldn't allow yourself to experience it, so then you had to give more.
Yeah, it's like I would give, but I wouldn't let myself receive it because, yeah, I just wouldn't let myself receive it, and I'd give and give. Yeah. Mm.
Yep, sky changed quick.
And then
Just a beautiful
you,
journey. Beautiful
it
journey.
is, right?
Mm.
Then you disrupt the pattern. And then it's like different choices. You see things differently, and now you experience new things.
Like even with my sister, I can see her wounding now. It's like she's got the wound and I'm not feeling significant, so she causes drama because she wants to be seen. So it's like, yeah, just so much compassion because it's just her little girl in there that wants to be seen, you know?
Mm.
Yeah. What it just came to me is like when you can say, sis, I see you. We give them what they want. It just it's not in, we don't see it for ourselves, so we don't know how to ask for it, so we do our patterns. And when someone like you is listening, is recognizes it, you can give them what they need. That is collaborating the endless possibilities. Compassionately.
Something like that.
Mhm. Fight, flight, freezing, and then compassion. It's like, yeah. Compassion
Yeah,
heals all of those.
I can even see it in her behaviors because she does boxing now. And she does boxing because it makes her be seen. She's on stage and everyone's seeing her and praising her because she's like, I'm seen, I'm on stage, I'm doing this fighting, you know? Oh yeah, bless her. I see it now. And because I've seen it in her, that's just, it's changed me, it's changed my view of her. It's, yeah, it's just, yeah, beautiful.
Mm.
And it will shift her too.
Mm. Definitely. You change one link in a chain and the rest of the chain starts to change.
I've got some nice news anyway. My brother messaged me yesterday and said his wife's pregnant. They've been doing IVF for like the past 2 years and she's finally pregnant. So after 3 years of trying, she's pregnant. So yeah.
That's wonderful news.
Fantastic.
Gonna have a baby in the family.
Mm. The structure, they were like, no, we want a baby, we want a baby. They kept doing IVF, they kept doing it, and now she's pregnant, you know?
And she needs to stop boxing now.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
She needs to stop boxing then for a while.
Oh, no, that's my brother's wife. Yeah, my brother's wife. So my sister-in-law.
Okay.
There's so many specific ways these patterns show up, reveal themselves,
Mm.
So many specifics. You could call it unique, that we think they're different. They're not related, but when we can see the fundamental, the underlying to it, the wounding behind it, we can then become aware. Fundamental, because we can name them as the 7, 9 sabotaging identities, or we can look at fight, flight, and freeze, or compassion. And if you want to see someone's pattern, just ask them what they want. If they give you an answer, you know they're in a creative structure. They give you a passionate answer. Yeah, can work with that. Ian and Craig, thank you for sharing real stories with us this morning.
Thank you for exploring that with me today. That was really valuable.
Thank you for sharing yours, Jesse, because yeah, I feel like I'm coming into the same as you over the last 3 months. So yeah, thank you for sharing your story because I resonate a lot.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna see my sister, I'm gonna give her a hug, and I'm gonna say to her, I see you.
Mm.
And if she says,
I
what
got
do you
you.
mean? I'll just say, yes, I see you. That's all.
Glad I tapped in today.
Mm.
Don't think I'm not gonna see her today. She lived about an hour and a half away from me, so yeah. When I see her, I will do.
Mm.
And you did it, have done it, and you didn't have to even see her.
Mm.
As I saw you doing that, and she just melted in your arms.
Mm. Mm. Wow. Morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Wow.
Morning, Nikki.
Hi, Nikki.
Well, I've just woken up. I think I've woken up in a dream. I think I'm dreaming. Oh yeah, I think I am. I think I'm dreaming. Wow. Wow. Good morning, Hans. Morning, Chi.
Morning,
Lovely.
Nikki.
Ian. Yeah. Alison, Jesse. Craig. Wow. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And it's
Tapping
all
into.
true. Yeah.
I'm
And
here,
it's all
love.
true. I know. It's a true story. You can't make this up. You can't make it up, right? It's just profound. I got to tell you, wow. I just come to say, love the people around you. Love the people around you. Mm. And it's
And love
really
yourself.
coming. Yeah, but that's the key. That's really the key there. Because everything that you get to love and be excited about will become so new every single time. And what's beautiful about that, I feel, when you're around people that can reflect that, when they don't know how to say it, when they don't know how to feel, they will just know because the love, you know, it's nonverbal. You don't need to say anything. It's just there. And that's what moves people. The love that you have for you, that authenticness, that's you.
That's very you. You allow people to see who they can be. But those people that are true to themselves, or loving themselves authentically, is also something that you have to also allow to know that not everyone's going to like get along with that. Not everyone's going to like that. This is something you just have to really understand, that it's not about that. It's about just knowing the why you're doing it and who you're doing it for is you. Because that's where you're coming home to, is you. But we get to collaborate with others to be able to get to that place. Because without others, we cannot do it alone. And so this year is just, it's just beautiful. Yeah. And I get to be part of this. Wow. So grateful, thankful, delightful. I can tell you about the weathercast here. It's overclouded with rain, thunders. But let me tell you, it couldn't be any brighter and lighter and yeah, sunshine.
Go
Yeah.
dancing in the rain, it's fun.
And what's that? Yeah.
Go dancing in the rain, it's fun.
I'm telling you, with our unicorns, like it literally, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I really feel that this is a real education, you know. I love this. The education of oneself, yeah, one's true self. And it does take a little bit of work. It does, if not a lot. It does, in a way, yeah. Because you got to show up and you got to be vulnerable and you got to make your mistakes. And people are not going to accept, people are not going to like. And then when you treat yourself, they reject or whatever, you know, in the sense of just feeling like you're coming out, you know. And what would they like? Yeah, what would it be then? How would it be? But that's when you get to really rebirth yourself. I feel you rebirth yourself as innocence. This is what the innocence is all about. That presence of just coming into this new day, reborn, making new choices. Yeah. You know, just because you know, it's just for fun. Doesn't have to be big. It can be something you just add in a recipe, you know, that you're trying out. Something new. It's just, yeah. I did a run over Brooklyn Bridge this morning. And there's people that've never gone over the Brooklyn Bridge. Yeah. And so as they're running, I go, oh my God, we're doing it. I said, yeah, baby, we're going across to the other side. And they laughed all the way across to the other side. It was the most funniest thing, where it was the most fearless thing they ever thought they could ever possibly do. It was like, in their mind, no way. There's no way we're doing that. Oh, they did it this morning. Yeah, they did it this morning. And what's so profound is when I heard somebody say, they did it. You did it. Yeah, you did it. So you just keep doing it. Because, yeah, it's never the easiest things to do, to show up and be yourself. But when you give enough compassion, I think for myself, you get enough compassion and true meaning of what is behind that energy, as Craig said very, very beautifully yesterday. Why am I feeling that? And I really asked my questions. I asked those questions. Why am I feeling that? I was in a restaurant last night with a couple of people, and it was just like this one person was just being very like, whoa, like overbearing over a topic that it overtook the whole energy of the celebration that we were having. And I looked at that and I went, well, first, you know, obviously there's something wounded, yeah, very hurtful, because that was the first impression. But the second thing I was asking myself, yeah, like, do I have to listen to this? Is it really necessary? No, it isn't. I could get up from the table and walk away. But I took it as a practice to say, you know, there's not going to be no judgment. Let's see where this goes. Even if it's a little bit like, I don't really want to be here now. You know what I mean? But I listened to it. And in the end, it came to me where it needed just to reflect, you know, with what the situation was. And there was deep pain. It was just very rooted in pain, like very rooted. And you could see it. But the thing when it came further on, it came out that he actually sabotaged himself, and he could see that pattern, that he actually sabotaged himself because of his action. Yeah. And so that's what happened. And then he realized that, oh yeah, okay. And you see, that's the real understanding of where I feel where I like to be. And that comes really, just observing that and listening and that. And it was interesting. Yeah. And I left in the right timing. Yeah. Because eventually I did leave the table, but in the right timing. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, you witness it, you just let it witness. And I just think that's nothing for you to do really sometimes, for letting people just be a reflection for yourself. Like what is really rooted in you that's painful, that you can't see, that's sabotaging you and setting you back. And I asked that question again and I said, yeah, okay, so tell me, what am I really holding on to that is still painful? You know what I mean? Because it's, you think, but it's not what you're thinking. It's what you're feeling. What you're truly letting go of, what has kept you in your prison. Because you've got the key to that. So I say, I got the key to that. So why am I sitting here? Yeah. What pain am I sitting with that I need to let go of? Because it was pain. It was obvious. Yeah. And then I realized, wow, thank you for the lesson. He taught me, he gave me a very, very good, clear mirror of me. And I said, okay, thank you. And now I can listen and thank you and every single one of you to say thank you. It's divine. It's absolutely divine. Yeah, so thank you.
I love hearing the power in your voice, Nikki. It's like, it's nice. Just power, that power.
Yes. Thank you for sharing your experience, Nikki, your story, your learning, your expansion, your growth, your compassion.
Guys, I'm gonna go now because I'm gonna go and get ready for a cacao ceremony. So yeah, much love and thank you
Love
for
you,
having me.
Ian.
Love you
Love you,
too.
Ian.
You'll be with
Thank
me in
you.
spirit.
Have a nice day.
Thank you,
And you
Ian.
too.
Bye, Ian.
See you. See you.
I really realize more and more and more now that really the power of let me in observing and listening. It's just something that I really felt quite funny about, you know? Yeah. Because I was always told, like, listen, 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 you know, my whole life. Listen, listen, listen. And then you don't listen. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then here comes a thing where I was completely like opposite, you know, to if I see myself and I put it into practice, like he said. And then I had to repeat, like repetitively learn this to follow. I had to practice it. It didn't just come overnight for me, you know, as much as, yeah. So I had to practice this. I practice. And then, yeah. And then I have other people like Craig or some, you know, that would say something that would just add on to me, like truly add on to me. And I go, whoa, yeah, okay. Let go. Let me practice on that one, you know? And so, yeah, I think the love and support, I think brings so much, because when you get to really have that and you get to practice on that, then so many things come up because they're already in you. But how would you know if you haven't practiced it? And I love that, because my life is a very practical life. I like practices. I like practice, you know, things, you know, a practical person. I like things practical. And I like people to give practical understanding too, you know? So yeah, I'm sitting here and listening with everything, and it's just, and then when I heard this and I heard that, and and it was just like, it's like, you know, like shooting arrows, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, yeah, not shooting arrows, but it was darts, like, whoa, there you go, baby, another dart, another dart. And it was hitting on blue, like I saw like darts hitting, you know, that like the target, and you go bullseye. Oh, it's classic when I heard everyone saying, you know, what they were saying and sharing. It's like bullseye, bullseye. I go, yeah, I'm in the right place, man. I'm in the right place. It was phenomenal. Yeah. So when Ian says dancing in the rain, I was actually running in the rain. That was happening. So I just want you to know that. That's a funny one. It's a funny one. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. Mm. You're very cool.
What do you want to
You know, when you have friends that will phone you up overseas, and then it will be somebody that you go, whoa, oh my God, thank you for calling me. I'm just saying, you know, yeah, just having fun. Thanks.
It's like getting a self-realization through others. Getting to see oneself, that you're not alone, that you're not the only one going through this. Like Jesse said about Craig, it's something we all have to go through. In some point in life, we get to that freeze moment. But in here, we talk about it and we grow with ourselves by just listening to other people's stories.
There's so much to learn by sharing. There's so much to learn when people share. It's beautiful. It's life in itself is beautiful through them expressing. And to find out the interest and the curiosity of what sparks them, what really sparks them, what really gets them going, what really makes them like, oh yeah, I got this, yeah. It's a very powerful thing here to give to yourself, but to others, yeah? Empower each other. Because as you do it to others, it will come back to you. It's just universal law. That is it. You know, we are science rocketed to know that one. That's just what it is. But that's really powerful here. It's very powerful. Because I was sitting at that table and whoa, I was thinking, whoa. And it just like came to me. I went, now I see it. I see it. I see it clear. Yeah. So it was like, wow. So immediately looking at that person, thinking, oh, really now, you know, like, do you have like, can we like talk about something else than this, you know? But this was important. Even if you didn't like what you wanted to hear, it was important for the person to express himself. He needed to express himself. And the only way he could express himself was coming very forceful out. Yeah, like forceful, like energy was very like forceful. You had to come with force. Oh yeah, muscle. Ooh, you could feel it. It was like, whoa, like what's that? But you see, I know that kind of forceful. So I even observed myself, realizing just keep cool here. It's nothing to do here than just be cool, stay cool. Oh yeah, it's very interesting, man. Very interesting for me. And then it was like and you could actually see it, like everything was calming down. It was like an instant, like you could feel it. It was just gently like breathing again, yeah? Because it wasn't even breathing. Yeah, his nostrils was coming out. He was like flaring up, eh? Oh yeah, he was like ready. And I said, oh, just give it a pause here. Just pause for a second, like just pause. And then I just allowed myself to see the other people's reaction. And boy, did they jump on the wagon, hey? To follow. Because it's just that, you know, people are just trying to figure things out, yeah? And then you realize and you see who you're associating with, yeah? You can't, you just gotta look, observe. And they will show you. And then I realized all this time was something that was reflecting for me. He mirrored something in me. Wow. And it was like, wow, just the obvious. And I said, who would have known, huh? Who does know when it happens? It happens every time, everywhere. I thought it just happens sometimes. No, it's happening right now. Yeah, that's where it becomes so interesting. Eh?
Happening all the time. It's how we're reacting, responding to it.
I mean, there's it.
And our tendency is to match it.
That's it.
And that's what I heard. Everyone at that table but Nikki was matching it.
Yeah. Matching in what way are we talking now? I want to get understanding.
It's like so the anger, what I listened is the anger, frustration, you'd have a better word for it, that was being on display, was causing the reactions of others at the table.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's a pattern of what was happening it was actually quite a topic. But you realize no matter the males that were sitting on the table, no matter what age they were, you could see they were completely in that structure. And in that structure was to dominate. It's to overpower. It's to take first before you are taken out. It's all kill, no mercy. Yeah, there's no mercy. There was no mercy. There was no love.
Fight.
And it's just this hate. There's a hate there. And when you have hate, you cannot get through anything in life with hate. It is it's a roadblock. You're not going to go any further. You'll sit with your hate because your hate will show up all the time. So nobody's going to engage with that. So you could see that at the table. But what I wanted to say, that was the masculine on the table. That's the masculine energy that came onto the table. Got to understand, it didn't matter what age. It was 26 and there was also 45. There was a range of these males, yeah? There was 40 to 26, you know, all different ages, yeah. And so but you could see the structure. When you see the structure, you go, okay, wait a minute now. How do you want to handle this? Because it's not even a handling. So what do I need to know about this? As Craig says, like, you know, what is the intention here? What is the energy behind it? I could see there was the structure was, there was none. So I had to get down to understand that level, but also to unpack the fact that he was very hurt. It was very hurt. He was in pain, genuine pain. You could see it even in his eyes. Yeah. I mean, it was all overwritten, and so it was like, this guy does not need now a freaking lecture, especially from a woman. Oh, hell no. That is not the time now. It is not the time. Okay. And even when he figured things out for himself, as he was allowed to figure things out and he was allowed to speak it out in that way, because that's the only way he knew. It's the only way he knew. Yeah. It wasn't being any kind of offensive to anybody else. It was just because it was at its peak. It was finally at its peak and it could say it. Yeah. And so I observed myself. It was very beautiful because I was around very beautiful other women. There's very strong feminine on that table. That's another thing. I was sitting with my very close friend, Karina, extremely feminine, like feminine, ultra feminine. I have another friend of mine that, it was a birthday girl. It's like, she looks like Snow White. It's not just, she's gorgeous, very beautiful goddess. Feminine, strong, very, very strong, smart too. And then I have on the other one is a very creative, works with a lot of art and works with a lot of literally writers and things like that. So, you know, very, yeah, in her heart, but knowing that she is a goddess. There's a feminine energy there. Yeah. So I just went, hey, there's no war, yeah, baby. We have no war, yeah. We're just gonna blend in now with this masculine energy, with our feminine energy, and we just gotta like sweep this situation, you know, like just sweep it away, because we got that power to sweep it away. We got that power. Yeah, we can either, like you say, engage, or we cannot engage. Yeah, follow? Yeah. So I had a really lovely, interesting interaction, but in such a way where I could really be in my feminine energy. And that gave me great pleasure to be in that, because I knew that this was not coming from a defense or attack. this was coming from a place that needed to be heard. That's it. He just needed to be heard. And that was enough.
Well, have a blessed day.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye. Bye. So yeah, that's all I got to say in that. It was lovely. It was just really lovely to witness. So I had a great evening last night because it was so much there. So many lessons came out of that, you know. And then I could also break free this morning of thinking of whatever I'm holding unconsciously, because it is. Because why are you not taking action? Obviously, because there's resistance. Why is there resistance? Like, what are you really afraid of? Or what? You know, I had a friend that said this morning, you know, Nick, you're not starting all over again because you're starting with experience. And yeah, we start over again, but we're not starting over again. We're starting with knowing what we know. And I got to come to a place where I have to say, let go of that charge, of emotional charge, and then you'll gain the wisdom, yeah? But how do we gain wisdom if we're still holding on the charge? That's my answer. That's my question, yeah? That's my question today that I give myself. Because that's the whole program and all these things that we have to work through in figuring. But in every time when we just define ourselves as saying, you know, yeah, the past was the past, and we go through these things, and we're going through every day, and we realize how much energy we're putting into a person or a thing where they're not even reciprocating and they're not even giving back. Then why would you give your energy to that? Yeah. And this is where, yeah, you got to go within yourself and really know to love, but to love every part of you. So when these things come and they show the other part of you that you were very, very ashamed of or struggled to accept, that's when you got to be brave and be open enough to show all parts of you, because it's what is the shame? There's no shame here. No part of you is a shame. No part of you, what you've gone through in your life, it's been a shame. And it brings tears, it brings emotion to me, because that's what we're living through. We're living through these things that we felt like they were shameful. It's nothing to be shameful. And we go through things and these things don't work out. It doesn't matter. That's our faith. And so this didn't work out for this gentleman. And I understood that pain. I understood it, you know, I really did. And then going through it, and yeah, I could understand it. But because he said it in a way that a lot of people were getting very like heated up, because it showed a lot of masculine energy, like very strong, yeah? But it needed to come out because he was feeling very depleted and weak. You follow? And so it doesn't come out in the packages that you maybe like it. But when there's no judgment, and it's really, and I mean no judgment, because we do judge. I mean, you immediately assume about something, about someone that you don't even know, and you're assuming about them. But when you go, the meaning behind it, or you realize that you go, before you react, or you listen to that, and it's amazing what comes out. You go, wow. Wow. It's so much information that I actually go, wow. Just wow. So it's a lot of breakthroughs. Yeah. There's a lot of breakthroughs today. Really breakthroughs. Yeah.
Thank you. It is. That's the tension.
Mm,
There's always tension. We'll
mm,
call it resistance, right? It's like,
mm,
because that's how most people reacting, responding, bringing
mm,
in the resistance.
mm, mm, mm,
And trapped in the reaction, trapped in the response.
mm, mm, mm. I just like to see people be where they are, know that they're okay where they are, because you maybe not think that you're where you need to be, or you maybe think that, you know, everything around you is better and people having a better life. It's not true. It's not true. Okay, we got to get out of that, you know.
Yep.
And yeah, we post pictures and we celebrate, and it's the intentions of sharing, and some are just because you want to share it in whatever. It doesn't matter. This is a society we live in, right? You know. And so we see each other's lives, what we want people to see also, right? That's also another thing. That's also another thing. But that's beside what I'm sharing today is to know you are where you are. It is divinely ordered. There's no
Divinely
chaos.
right. That's right.
Yes.
It's right.
Yes.
It's correct. It's on purpose. It's intentional.
It's amen. Amen. And you know, doesn't matter how you know, wake up and you have emotions that you have all over the place, because you have always people around, and you're seeing, you're reading, you're talking, you're listening to broadcasts. So many things are happening. And that's why, just in general, you know, in life, it's good to have a morning routine. I'm just saying, you know, it's just good because it helps a person to put out, you know, to prioritize and focus where you want to focus on, you know, your intentions. And coming on calls like this is a very practical, it's a very practical way to know, like, you know, in general, you know. And so much comes out of this that for days you can live on it. You know what I mean? You can, when I say feed on it, you can chew on it. You can go, oh yeah. You know, it's like reading a book. It's like we're all reading each other's books. We're all our own authors, right? Our own story. We're our own story, right? And what more beautiful is to read your story and to be able to read it with you. Yeah, experiencing it with you. So I think, you know, yeah, it's a story. And I love stories. I've always loved stories. Yeah, I've always loved stories. I was never read to, and I always wanted to be read to when I was a child. And it's emotional now. I am getting a little emotional because it's beautiful. And even if I didn't get it in the mornings or in the evening, I get it. I get it now.
Mhm.
And I can say good morning, good night. I don't have to be scared.
Well, Nikki, thank you for sharing your story
Yeah.
this morning with us.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. Thank you.
And it's very beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to say goodbye for now.
Me too.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Until next time. Bye,
Cheers.
Craig.
Bye,
Bye,
Craig.
Nikki.